What is going on, everybody? Y'all have no idea how pumped and excited I am to finally sit down and record this. This has been an idea that I've had throughout the year and was unable to execute it because of other obligations that I had, whether it be an episode reaction or an afterthoughts or whatever it is that I had to record on a weekend that stopped me from doing something like this. Because I'll give you a quick example as one of the major reasons why I'm doing this is back in the summer when Sound Euphonium Season 3 came to a close. And all I wanted to do was come on here and ramble for God knows how long about how good that was. And I didn't have the opportunity. You know what I mean? I didn't have the avenue to be able to do that. Similarly, on a weekly basis, greatness like that Akane Banashi awesome sauce has been speaking to your boy with zero avenue for me to come on here and talk about it. And so, without having to dedicate like a specific video for it. And so what I wanted to do instead is introduce this brand new segment. This is the inaugural, the pilot episode of this Recon's Top 5 of the Week special that I want to do. I'm not sure how viable this is going to be from a time standpoint, so I'm doing a trial run until the end of the year. This is going to replace the usual One Piece afterthoughts that I do on a weekly basis, that I normally dedicate to discussing the One Piece chapter in detail and in length. Now that we have the live streams to be able to do that after the chapter reaction, I wanted to instead dedicate something or a video on a weekly basis, or however often I'm able to do this, to the things that I'm experiencing, man, because I'm experiencing a lot of greatness without an avenue to be able to talk about. And so this is sort of like the rules, the general overview of what this segment is as a whole. So my plan is, on a weekly basis, I'll come on here and talk about the top 5 things that I can't stop thinking about, whether it be something that I'm experiencing right now for the very first time. I'll emphasize something I'm experiencing for the first time, new, whether it be a binge watch, a brand new seasonal anime that just came out that I'm watching for the first time, a new TV show, a book, whatever the case may be. If it's a continuation, something like, for example, an Akane Banashi that is releasing on a weekly basis that I really want to talk about that week's chapter, or Sakamoto Days or something, this will give me that avenue as well to be able to discuss a continuation of whether it be an anime, whatever is happening there. And then, of course, there is the rereads, the rewatches, the replays that I also engage a lot in, and this will also give me the opportunity to talk about that. You know what I mean? If I've experienced something that I'm going through again, and I'm coming at it from a different type I'm looking at it through a different lens this time around. Now that I've experienced other stories that allow me to see that in a different type of lens, and I can't stop thinking about it, then we're going to be talking about that here. So I just wanted to give myself the avenue to talk about the stuff I'm rereading, rewatching, replaying, whatever, the stuff I'm continuing to experience on a weekly basis, as well as the things that I'm experiencing for the first time, and giving updates on those. And whichever ones end up in the top 5 for that week will be what we are going to talk about. It's something that I don't want to force any stress upon myself and or y'all to continuously talk about specific series or whatever the case may be. However, there may be certain series that pop up more than others because of my bias for said things and how I can't stop thinking about them. And so today is the pilot episode. There is a mix of some new stuff, some stuff that I can't stop thinking about, some stuff that I've recently experienced, as well as the things that I'm currently going through. And so, without further ado, let's get right into the first edition of Recon's Top 5 of the Week. Now, because this is the pilot episode, of course, we're going to do things a little different. So instead of a top 5, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to double it, and we're going to do a top 10. Because there's been a lot of stuff that I need to get off my chest. You know what I'm saying? And so because of that, we're going to dedicate this particular video to legit all of the things that have been occupying my mental space before we make this a regular thing, and hopefully we'll talk about some of the other weekly things that that are coming out on a regular basis. I have not had the opportunity to watch the ReZero episode 1 special yet, and I also have not watched Blue Box because I just renewed my Netflix so that I could watch that and Dragon Ball Daima, which, by the way, so excited for that next week. Dragon Ball's back, Budokai, and the anime. Like, bro, have we ever been more back? It's gonna be a good time. But yeah, man, it's been such a special time. Obviously, I haven't been able to watch everything and won't be able to watch everything. But this upcoming anime season, I am going to be watching quite a bit. And so extremely excited there. Actually, one more thing before we get started. I just want to clarify that on this list, we will not be discussing anything that I cover on a weekly basis. So there will be no One Piece, no Bleach, no Hunter x Hunter. The reason for that is because, like I said, I'm creating this as an avenue to give me an opportunity to talk about things I don't normally get a chance to talk to. And if I made a top 5 with those 3 in it, or even just one in them, you already know every single week they're going to be in there because they occupy my mental space at all points in time. And so what I wanted to do is instead give this segment to the other series that I don't normally get to cover or ever get to talk about. And so because of that, we will not be discussing any of these series that I talk about on a weekly basis. However, some of the series that we talk about regularly or semi-regularly, like your Monogataris, for example, or Trails or whatever, those we can have on these lists because those aren't an every week thing. Now, starting us off here at number 10, and I have to preface this by saying that some weeks you guys are going to get full-blown let's go King Recon. But this week, you guys are getting writer mode Recon. And I apologize if that's not what you're here for, but that is the mode that y'all have me in, and blame Yoshihiro Togashi for that. You know what I'm saying? When Yoshihiro Togashi drops the heat in which he's doing and is inspiring me to go out and create my own stuff, how can I not be in a writing mood, man? And so a lot of these picks and a lot of what I've been thinking about lately draws back to the stuff I've been experiencing, as well as the things that I'm currently writing, because obviously those are the things that are inspiring what's being created. So starting us off with a brand new anime adaptation of something that I really, really enjoy is that Don greatness, man. Listen, all you need to know is that Luffy and Zoro's voice actors are in this series, and the things in which they do is absolutely out of this world, bro. It is crazy. But the reason why I chose Don, aside from the obvious, it is a masterful adaptation of a manga that we could not wait to see come to life. From the moment that you start the episode and you see the opening credits until the ending credits, it captures exactly what I was afraid they may not capture. Because I knew, due to the recent anime that have been released, that for manga that were highly anticipated, the animation was going to be on point. I knew that. I knew they were going to capture the characters. I knew they'd be able to capture the presentation of this series. I had no worries on that end. No worries. But the tone of this series, the aesthetic of Don is so insanely important to how you feel as a reader when you're going through the series. That's what I was sort of like, okay, can they capture this? And from the very beginning of the episode until the end, they were locked in with how they captured the vibes, for lack of a better term, of Don. I mean, it is sensational what they did with capturing the tone. It made me feel like I did back in 2003, waking up at like 3 a.m. to catch that Fooly Cooly greatness. It felt like I was watching Fooly Cooly again, bro. And anything that makes me feel like I did when I was like 10, watching Fooly Cooly on Adult Swim, you got me. You've got me. They have captured, they understood the assignment. They understood the assignment. Now, why am I picking Dandadan in particular as a choice here within the top 10? Something that stood out to me while I was watching the anime adaptation is how they took two characters in Momo and Aken and presented two entirely different perspectives and point of views, and how we were able to have the story bring them both together and tie them through the use of the cell phone. The reason why I'm bringing this up and why it's so fascinating to me is I have been putting so much thought into how to interweave certain storylines and plot lines with like the most minuscule of things. And so within this episode and the utilization of a cell phone to be able to literally have one individual transport themselves to where the other person is, it is one of those things of like, it's so in tune with the world that it sort of doesn't even feel out of place. It doesn't feel out of place. And it's that type of consistency to your story, to how to bring point A character to point B character and not make it feel out of place. So also having like a creative way to have these two perspectives continue onward and keeping you engaged. And I was like, man, this is brilliant, dude. Like, of course, while reading through it the first time, I understood, like, yeah, this is good stuff. But actually seeing it in animated form, like, hit in a completely different way. And so I appreciated it. I really appreciated the way in which they brought this to life. And that's why I haven't been able to stop thinking about it. Now, coming in at number 9 is a manga that I experienced earlier this year that I haven't been able to stop thinking about, specifically because of another series we're going to talk about a little later on that I just recently finished. And that is the manga Ultimate Rock, Paper, Scissors. Now, it's a short manga. If anything I'm about to say interests you, it is very short. It's like 20-something chapters. But man, dude, if Prime Madhouse could ever take this series, we would have a generational banger on our hands, man. This series takes everything that I love about the Yoshihiro Togashi, specifically the Togashi tournament formula, and the kaiji mental game aspect of kaiji, and meshes it together over a simple game of rock, paper, scissors. Imagine the mental gymnastics and the intensity of a kaiji, while the entire manga is structured like a dark tournament. The entire manga. With all the classic shonen battle manga tropes that we all know and love, from a character standpoint, from a writing standpoint, from all of that. It just hits on all of the classic tropes, while simultaneously doing it through the game of rock, paper, scissors. And it goes into the idea for me of taking a concept that we all know and love. I've been playing rock, paper, scissors my entire life, especially as somebody who plays video games. You know, who gets controller one? All right, let's do rock, paper, scissors. You know what I mean? Or going out there playing sports. We do a lot of rock, paper, scissors to decide things. So seeing how that was the centerpiece of a battle shonen type of manga, and keeping the intensity you would normally expect from individuals having these crazy powers was so inspirational for me. I love it. I really, really love this manga. And with a series that I just recently finished, allowing me to view it through a different lens, it's something that I cannot stop thinking about. And so if you have not experienced Ultimate Rock, Paper, Scissors, it's very, very short. And I highly recommend it to anyone who loves the tournament-style nature of something like a dark tournament or a hunter exams. The mental game, the Yoshihiro Togashi character thinks before doing said move, nature of it, the Yu-Gi-Oh-esque like mental, it's so good, man. It's so good. I love this. I really, really dug Rock, Paper, Scissors. So shout out to that. That's something that I have not been able to stop thinking about. Speaking of stuff I haven't been able to stop thinking about, coming in at number 8. just in case you haven't been following the One Piece stuff that I've done throughout the year, in a few afterthoughts, I've casually dropped that I've been on a huge Naoki Urasawa re-experience, going through a lot of his stories, a lot of the stories that made me the manga fan that I am today, through the lens of someone who's attempting to create something that can match the page-turning nature of Naoki Urasawa, of course, in my own way. Because I'm not trying to create a thriller. I'm doing it in my own way. And so, Naoki Urasawa to me is the master of the page turn, in particular in the manga field. And the reason why I say that is because he has so many different... He's done it in so many different genres, from sports to murder mysteries to thrillers to the conspiracy mysteries to the most recent one, and the one I'm about to talk about here in a second. And my number 8 being Asadora, which is so flipping good, man. And it's currently being released in North America in volume form. If you actually want to buy and support the series, it is so good. Asadora is the current ongoing Naoki Urasawa work that, listen man, for anyone whom this speaks to, I promise it is as cool as it sounds. Imagine Naoki Urasawa writing a kaiju manga, man! He's writing a kaiju manga! A kaiju Godzilla-esque manga, bro! It's so cool! Because, like, we know, especially for those of us, for the individuals out there who really enjoyed Pluto, a retelling of Astro Boy, right? And we saw how he was able to capture the essence of Astro Boy, and Naoki Urasawa-fy it with, like, all the conspiracies, mysteries, and all that stuff. And then, of course, we see, like, a lot of the other classic series that he has, his 20th Century Boys, his Monsters. I experienced Happy for the first time this year, which was absolutely fantastic. But Asadora is really special. It has potential for an all-time Urasawa great as an exceptional protagonist. But the thing that I can't stop thinking about is the kaiju concept, bro. It's the idea of something existing, and then you know how Naoki Urasawa does it, man, with like the conspiracies. Doesn't exist. People are trying to, like, it's good, man. And the point of view switches. How in classic Urasawa faction, but in this one in particular, it really feels like a novel where you're switching from one thing to one thing to one thing, and then as we continue to interweave all of the different point of views, it just feels like peak Urasawa, and I love it. I'm really enjoying Asadora, and because of the concept that it's going for, while also exploring different types of ideas and in particular with the different point of views that you have throughout the course of the story, it is just a manga that I would not only recommend to everyone out there that's watching, especially if you are an Urasawa fan, but also, actually, well, I don't know if I recommend it now. Those are always best to read when it's not ongoing. But as you know, what I experienced Billy Bat almost entirely while it was ongoing. If you enjoyed Billy Bat as it was ongoing, you will enjoy this as it is ongoing too. And so, or if not, you can just let them stack up and binge, whatever. Regardless, it has been fantastic, and Asadora is most certainly something I haven't been able to stop thinking about. And I'm looking forward to when the next volume releases so I can get some more, because I can't get enough of Asadora. Coming in at number 7, we have a dual pick, which they both interweave into each other because one of them was the direct inspiration / the most referenced thing in the other thing. One's a book, one is an anime. The anime that I'm referring to is Tsukigakure, a romance anime that released a few years ago, and the book that I'm talking about is Schoolgirl by Osamu Dazai. Now, this series is one that I'm currently watching. I've been watching it very slowly and intentionally. At its core, and in its synopsis, these are two middle school individuals that one of them is attempting to achieve her dream out in track and field as a runner. The other one is attempting to achieve his dream as a writer, an individual who wishes to become published as young as possible. And when you have these two dreamers and you pull them together, you see the beauty of how chasing one's dreams and the consequences of chasing one's dreams at that age can affect someone's mentality. And I think it's so interesting the way that this is explored within a romance series in particular, but also because of what it's referencing. Now, what's crazy about this is that I actually experienced Schoolgirl before I ever watched Tsuki ga Kirei. I actually experienced this while I was going through my own Osamu Dazai binge of just experiencing a lot of the stories that he told back in the heyday whenever I first was going through the No Longer Human craziness, which I still should have the volumes from around here. But that was something obviously that was very impactful, not just to me, but to a lot of individuals out there. So we've had multiple discussions about that. But that was one that I experienced thanks to that, right? And so to be re-exposed to that through this series has allowed me to view it through a different lens, because now I'm seeing it through the lens of Japanese culture. Now I'm seeing it through the lens of how someone who is in middle school viewing Osamu Dazai's Schoolgirl in a similar type of way that I viewed like Naruto or Bleach or One Piece in my adolescence allowed them to go out and want to become a published writer. And it's just so interesting to me the way that this series truly just understands the adolescence and adolescence as a whole, and how love and what you want to do in the future often end up clashing. It's so interesting. I've been so impressed by it, which is why I've been watching it as slowly as I have, because every time I finish an episode, all I want to do is just go out and create something. Like it's one of those types of series. And so Tsuki ga Kirei, a romance anime that came out a few years ago. I have not finished it yet, but that speaks volumes for it being on this list, even though I have not finished it. This is one of the main reasons why I wanted to make a series like this, so that I could talk about something that I have been experiencing that I've been really, really enjoying. And so that most certainly is one that has impacted me in several different ways. This was just one of those beautiful encounters of randomly seeing it on Crunchyroll, clicking on it, and it just hits. It just hits, man. And so that is Tsuki ga Kirei. Now, from this point forward, man, oh man, man, oh man, this is truly what has been occupying my mental space. This is the top 5 for the week. Number 6 is a part of that 5. It truly is. I have to mention this one. Similar to what I discussed earlier with some of my picks with like Ultimate Rock Paper Scissors and Asadora being brought into the picture because of what I've experienced recently. This manga I've thought about all year, but even more so because of the game that I'm currently playing. And that manga, a manga that sent me down a rabbit hole of trying to find stuff like it, because that's just how good it is. It's completed, and by the sweet mother of Flagnars, is it incredible. Ladies and gentlemen, number 6 is I Sold My Lifespan for 10,000 yen per year. Japanese name, Jumbo wo Kaitote Morata, Ichi nen Nisuki, Ichi ma Mananen, or Mananen, whatever, it'll be on screen, whatever. I sold my lifespan for 10,000 yen per year. Ladies and gentlemen, no games are being played with this pick, all right? This pick right here, came directly from the soul. And like I said, I'm blaming the fact that I can't stop thinking about this on the game that I'm currently playing, which explores the concepts and ideas of how mortality can be viewed in multiple different perspectives. And I'll tell you what, man, if there's anything I've experienced this year that has that on full display, it is this. I don't even want to give a synopsis. This is one that I believe you should go in as blind as possible. If you want to go on a journey, and when I'm talking about going on a journey, for those of you who have experienced stuff like this, it's a very short story. But if those of you who I know really enjoyed, like for example, Tatsuki Fujimoto's Look Back and Goodbye Eri, wild rides that you go on as a full volume. Just imagine that doubled as like a 16 chapter manga. Go out and read it. That's all I'm gonna say. Go out and read it. Haven't been able to stop thinking about it. If I were to do like a top 10 at the end of the year of favorites of the year, that would undoubtedly be on the top half of the list. But because this is of stuff that I'm thinking about like just recently, it's here. But I can tell you it impacted me greatly. It is quite a story, yo. Quite a story. But now getting into the top 5, ladies and gentlemen, man. Yo, man. Now we're getting into the manga that occupies my mental space the most out of all the ones that I'm not experiencing. The ones that I'm not talking about on a weekly basis. And of course, that manga is Akane Banashi, man. The weekly Shonen Jump series that is vying for my love and attention as much as One Piece on a weekly basis because of how much it truly inspires me. It strikes me to my core, man. And I think anyone out there who is also a creator should go out and experience Akane Banashi. Honestly, even if you're not a creator, you should go out and experience Akane Banashi. Akane Banashi is the kind of series that I feel like you would be able to enjoy even if you're not in the field of arts. Akane Banashi is what I said with Tsukigakure on a weekly basis. It just inspires me, man. Like, you know, everyone has that thing that just pushes them to be greater, bro. That is this. This series is so special. And to be quite honest with you, I would recommend it to anyone, no matter who you are. Because I feel like it can tap into something that is innate within all of us. It taps into why it is that humans love stories. And the reason why I'm bringing it up here as a top 5 in recent context is that the past like 10 to 15 chapters have been focusing on the idea of the deliverance of stories, voice in stories, seeing it through the eyes of Akane and her master and the different ways that they capture the audience and force them to immerse themselves through utilizing different things that are currently impacting them in what they're going through outside of Rakugo. It's been really powerful, and the way in which we've seen Akane grow in these past couple of chapters, learning about certain things as she finally gets the opportunity to learn a story that we've all been waiting to see, bro. And it's different because it's like, man, imagine someone, it's like, to put it into like other manga context, imagine someone building up to learning the Kamehameha, or learning the Rasengan, or learning like Gomu Gomu no Gatling. It's like you're going in to learn a completely brand new thing, but before you do that, you need to go on such a journey in order to get to that point. And so, but what's so interesting about this is the stakes that are at hand, man. And it's like, yes. Because the series is so battle shonen, but it explores it in such great and unique and cool ways. I love Akane Banashi, man. I love it. And so that is coming in this week, not just for its most recent chapter, but for its most recent chapters. Since I haven't had the opportunity to talk about it all year, it has been so good at talking about the importance of delivery in your stories, the voice of the individual saying it and how it impacts the audience. And in the most recent chapters where it's just like, feed it and inject it. Inject it, dude. It's been so good. It has been. I need to read a line. I'm sorry. I need to read a line from like one of the most recent chapters. It was let me go on Akane Banashi. I believe it was around like 121, 119. Let me see. Was it this one? No, I think this is whenever she was. Yes, I think it's a chapter before this. Cause bro, I mean, this thing meant something to me. You know what I'm saying? It really did. Where is it? Oh, this chapter. This flipping chapter was so good. This chapter was so gas, bro. My dog comes in there and says, "In the world of art, you never know what will fulfill the soul." To add context, within this chapter, Akane is following her master as she's seeing all the different types of things that her master is into, to be able to go out and deliver these stories that he creates, the different types of things that inspires him. He's into so many different things. So many different things that fuel it. Not just Rakugo. We're talking about film, manga, horse racing. I mean, everything. And then, so when this line hits, in the world of art, you never know what will fulfill the soul. You can't go wrong by trying out new things. I was like, brother, that's my motto. That is my motto. That is Akane Banashi. I could be here all day, but that's number 3. That's number 5. That is number 5, and by the sweet mother of Aunt Jemima, it will continue to be number 5, because I love it. I love it, man. I love it! My next 2 picks are both from the same series, just in different mediums. That Monogatari greatness, baby. Coming in number 4, we're going to be talking about the anime, and in particular, we're going to be talking about Waza Monogatari, Princess Acerola. That Acerola Bon Appetit greatness. Now, of course, the arc that it's currently airing is Shinobu Mastered, but because it hasn't ended yet, I want to save that potentially for next week's discussion. Instead, because I haven't had the opportunity to talk about Waza yet, I wanted to come on here and talk about that, because it truly was something sensational, and I think it might be my favorite adaptation that we've had so far in this particular stretch of episodes in off season and monster season. Even though Nareko Draw is obviously my favorite arc in this particular stretch we've had so far, Waza I felt like was my favorite adaptation, and I think the reasoning for that is the aesthetic. I mean, the presentation for this was absolutely unreal. Even down to when the episode, the chapter numbers pop up, and you see how the blood will flow on the screen and with the Roman numerals. It's so cool, man. It's like, yo, this is awesome. But it was the combination of the music with the lighting, the constant shots showing the entire castle, going in and seeing Suicide Master with, Deathopia Virtuoso Suicide Master with Princess Acerola, and seeing how that relationship progressed, not just within the narrative, but how the framing would show how their relationship would change as well. And dude, it was so well done. In particular, when we saw episode 6.5, which was like the fairy tale being brought to life, and we got to see how they visualized that, my mind was blown. I was like, dude, this looks insane. It looks like a Disney movie. Then we get to this, and all I could think about while watching this was like, bro, this feels like Kizu Monogatari Part 0. It felt like I was watching a movie, dude. I mean, Monogatari always feels like you're watching a movie, but these two in particular truly felt like I was watching a hidden Kizu movie. It was so good. And from a presentation standpoint, it might not have an equal. It may not have an equal from this season, bro. It was unreal. I mean, I'm still at a loss for words as to how they managed to do it. And Bon Appetit, Acerola Bon Appetit, is already a story that I absolutely enjoy within the novel. But seeing it adapted in the way that it did made me realize that I love it even more than I thought I did. I mean, we're looking at, as someone who really loves prequels, in particular prequels that are done while you're already going through the story, and in release order, you'll experience them like later on. The Kizus of the world, the Metal Gear Solid 3s of the world, the Yakuza Zeros of the world, the ones that are released later on. and add so much context and recontextualize so many different things. Those prequels are always so good because of how they manage to do so many different things and elevate many different parts of the story. For a character like our beloved Shinobu Oshino, to finally have that flashback fleshed out in the way that it currently is, and seeing the creation of Kishot, seeing how the individual was named. But once again, it's not just how they did it. It's the manner in which it makes it feel like the cinematic experience it should be. We're talking about Kishot. We're talking about our beloved Kishot, man. Orion Heart Under Blade. Don't forget the Acerola. And it's like, bro, the way in which they told it was just so good. It had me like, bro, this means something to me, man. And it was only 2 episodes. But those 2 episodes were like, bro, this is Kizu Part 0, man. And it just meant something to me. And so I had to talk about it. I still can't get over how just masterful all of it felt. It truly felt like individuals beyond our plane created that. That's how good it was. It just, from a presentation standpoint, it truly felt like a cinematic experience, and I loved it so much. But knowing me, we'll be back with more Monogatari next week. But getting into the next one, putting a timestamp in particular for this one, because obviously there's individual anime only for Monogatari. Do not want to spoil you, but this one is one that I haven't even finished yet, and I don't need to finish it. It's in the top 3. I do not need to finish this novel, because by the sweet mother of Flagnards, it is already up there in the greatness. So I am currently reading the most recent installment in the novels. I have finally caught up to the Monogatari greatness, and I look forward to discussing that in greater length at some point in time. Like, once again, if we were to do like a top 10 of the year, some of the other novels I read this year would undoubtedly be on that list. I think one of them is actually number 1 for things I've experienced this year. But in this one in particular, because of what I'm currently reading, which is Ikusa Monogatari, and I stress this so hard, if you are not caught up to Monogatari, skip forward at least until the end of the time stamp, bro. Do not risk it. But from the moment that I saw the title of this volume being Hitagi Honeymoon, I knew I was in for peak. Like I said, I haven't even finished the novel yet, and this is already like zenith of the medium types of material. This means something to me, man. Not only as someone who's a massive fan of time skips, I love when we start a new season in Monogatari, because it's presenting like the tone and aesthetic that we can expect from this particular section in the story. But when you have it centered around Kenchikahara and Araragi getting married, and in particular, what that means thematically, what a name, what a last name truly implies, what it means to be tied together forever. I mean, bro, there are many different things that are just executed to the highest level I never thought I would see in Monogatari. We know Nisio Isin does his thing. We know he does his thing. I should have expected it. But I just never expected to actually see it, you know? We never get to see this kind of stuff in anime, and most of the time, we'll see it like brushed over in a final chapter. We're getting an entire season dedicated to this, bro. We're getting a whole thing, and this is just the beginning, and I'm already losing my mind. Because I haven't even finished the volume. I have not even finished the volume, and it means something to me, man. It really does, and so, that is here. Not in terms of what it's doing for me from an inspirational standpoint, but what it's doing to me as a fan of this series. It is delivering on all cylinders, and I am absolutely adoring the greatness of Ikusa Monogatari. And so that is at number 3. And I wish I could go into more detail, but like I said, just in case someone is listening to this as an anime-only viewer, I'll look out for you. In the future, I will not be so lenient, but I'll look out for you right now and not say anything, as this is the pilot episode. Now, getting into the top 2, These are obvious ones. The things that I just recently experienced and what I'm currently going through over in the video game space. I will not be going into spoiler details for either of the two, but just in case you do not want to hear anything in particular for trails, do not listen to my number one. That is one that obviously I'm going through right now, and I will not be talking about anything specific, like I said, nothing specific, but I just will be talking about how it has been inspiring me both creatively and entertaining me as a fan of the series. But like I said, there will be no spoilers for what's going on within the content itself. Coming in number 2 right behind that, though, is something that if you would have asked me, I think it was the last week or the week before when I finished it, would have been number 1 by far. By far. But even 2 weeks after, it's still rent-free in my mind, and I can't wait to continue it, and that is the Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney trilogy. This trilogy means so much to me for a multitude of different reasons. It came into my my journey at the perfect time when I was looking for something of this kind of tone, and in particular the way that it's written, that the audience that it's trying to reach, the emphasis on telling a fun story. It came at the perfect time. When I was truly looking for something like that, since I am currently writing something like that, it felt like the match made in heaven for continuous inspiration as we came into this play sessions. But I think number 2, and most importantly, is because I've experienced this trilogy alongside my brother, it's also allowed for family bonding time as well, which is always a really beautiful thing to have. And so when you have the combination of something that inspires you creatively while also allows you to get closer to a member of your family, it causes for an experience that you'll never ever forget. And that's exactly what this trilogy was for me. It was filled with not only so many amazing twists and turns from a narrative standpoint, but it provides me some of my favorite characters within gaming, some of my favorite character relationships, some of my favorite interactions within the medium, and obviously with that, some of my favorite moments that I've experienced within recent memory. And as an overall experience, the trilogy as a whole would undoubtedly be in my list of favorite games of all time. And I can't wait to continue more as the series progresses. But just what a magnificent journey that it was. And the emphasis on repetition and getting you excited for the next case, and the getting used to the quirks and things that each individual character has. It was just so good. It was just so good, and I would highly recommend it to anyone who would like to embark within that journey, because it truly is something that hits at the core of what makes a story fun. And so that right there is truly what it's all about. And I just really enjoyed it, man. And so Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney trilogy, no question. Like I said, if you would have asked me this like a week ago or 2 weeks ago, it would have been number 1 by far. And we'll just wait until I start Apollo Justice Boy. We're going to come in here with the updates each and every single week, because man, am I enjoying it. Such good stuff. Such good stuff. But then getting down to number 1, and this one should be the shortest one of them all. Of course, I'm currently going through Kai no Kiseki, the latest entry in the Trail series. And the only thing that I can say is that this one has been so good that I have been avoiding all types of social media, not just because I want to avoid spoilers for the game, but because I want to avoid spoiling other people. This has been such a magnificent experience that until the recent hype with like Hunter x Hunter, Bleach, and Dragon Ball, I was afraid of touching anything. But because of that, I can scream my hype away for those series, while then coming back eventually for this whenever I get the opportunity to finish it. But just all in all, it's been so magnificent, and in ways that I never thought I would be getting from this game. I went into it with a certain set of expectations, and it's hitting on all those expectations, but it's also hitting in ways that I wasn't expecting it to hit. And so I look forward to talking about that in greater length at some point in time in the future. But for any of you who have not experienced this game yet, just know, so far, y'all are going to be in for a treat when it drops, man, because it is the universal language personified. And that has been the first edition of Recon's top 5, though top 10 in this one. I look forward to seeing all of you next time for the next edition of this. But for right now, this is what we've got. And I'm so excited for this segment and the future of this segment as we continue to experience more greatness and more things continue to come out. And we can talk about some more stuff. But I'm glad I finally have an avenue to be able to talk about all of these types of things. So I will see y'all next time. Thank you so much for watching, and have a blessed one.